Welcome back to another shiur in the series of money matters. Now, in today's shiur, we're going to go back in our textbook, Pure Money, to the beginning, to chapters number 2 and number 3, which are dealing with theft. Theft is a major topic. There's plenty to talk about. It's going to take a few shiurim, and then once we finish that, we'll be moving on to volume 2 of Pure Money. This shiur, like all of our shiurim, is Leilu Nishmat Rachalea Bat Reb Chaim Tzvi. Now, in case anyone didn't know, you're not allowed to steal. Makes no difference whether you're stealing from a Jew or a non-Jew. You're not allowed to steal from anyone. Now, what is stealing? Let's first mention a number of things which are not actually stealing, but which we see that our sages said that we shouldn't do because maybe by doing these things we'll come to stealing. Let's start with that. That's also, by the way, what the Shulchan Aruch starts with when he starts discussing theft. Sometimes you might want to take the property of someone else in order to cause them temporary distress. And afterwards your plan is you're going to return to them. You may do this as a practical joke. You may do this not as a practical joke to really cause someone distress and to harm them. But your intention is not to steal the property but to give it back later. Both these things, said our sages, we're not allowed to do. They're osur, they're prohibited to do. Why? Because both of these things will lead a person to getting used to taking property without permission, and they might bring him to theft. Stealing back from someone who stole from you. If you remember, we spoke about this a few shiurim ago when we discussed when you're allowed to take the law into your own hands. I'm not going to go into the whole thing again. If you see back in that shiur, that the only time you're allowed to steal back is if you go in openly. It says the Gemara, you break this other guy's teeth and you say, I'm taking back what you took from me. Sheli ani notel, I'm taking back what you took from me. That you're allowed to do without any problem. But to break in quietly in the middle of the night into someone else's house, into the house of someone who stole from you, and to steal back from them, we see that you're not allowed to do. Apart from, as we mentioned in that shiur, I'm not going to go into all the details again, some particular circumstances where it was allowed as well. But generally you would not be allowed to do that. Why? Because it's an act of theft. Here it's not because you'll become used to it, although that might also be involved. It's because people might see you doing it and think that you're a thief, and we don't want that either. Now we know that there's halakha, which we'll discuss later on, either in this today's shiur or tomorrow's, or the next shiur, I'm not sure, I can't remember offhand, that a thief has to return double of what he stole. We'll discuss later that whether that's nogay in our times or not, if Beit Din in our times can do that or not. We've already mentioned this, I think, but in an earlier shiur we'll mention it again. But let's say that Beit Din do give you kefil, do give double. So what if you want to steal to do the guy you're stealing from a favor? He's not prepared to receive a gift from you. So you decide you're going to steal from him and then get yourself caught and pay him kefil, pay him double. That's a way of giving back to this other guy something that he didn't have before, and maybe he's somebody who was not prepared to take a gift from you. Could be all sorts of reasons why you might want to do such a thing. You're not allowed to do it, says the Gemara, says the Shulchan Aruch, because again, when we get used to stealing, we might, God forbid, start taking other people's property even when there is no heta to do so at all. Now, what about property that the owner is not particular about? Let's say someone's got a box of matches. Each match has got a negligible value. You can't say that anyone is particular that you shouldn't take a match from his matchbox as long as he's got a few more matches there. It's not the last one. and someone's got a full matchbox, they're certainly not going to care. They're not going to care that you take one of their matches. Now that doesn't mean that their matches are hefker, that they're ownerless, that they've relinquished ownership of their matches and anyone can take them. The matches certainly belong to them, but they don't care if you take one, because they've got plenty of matches and the matches aren't worth much. Such a property, it's not considered theft if you take. You're not a thief. Again, not because it's hefker, not necessarily. There are some Rishonim that learn that the reason here is because of hefker, but it's really very difficult to understand that reasoning, because we see that the reality is that you're not mafkir